Diego's boots left faint smudges on the white marble as he stepped into Luminère, his calloused hands clutching a crumpled envelope. The laughter started immediately, sharp, cold, like breaking glass. But he didn't turn back. Because inside that envelope was a photo of Trisha, and he'd promised her he'd never stop fighting for the life they dreamed of, even if the world laughed him out of every room he entered. Welcome back to our channel, Legends. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, you'll love what's coming. The factory horn blared at 6 p.m., releasing 200 souls into the gray autumn evening. Diego Morales wiped machine grease from his forearms with a rag that had forgotten what clean meant. 15 years on the floor. 15 years of sparks and metal dust. He scrubbed his hands at the sink until they turned pink, but the black under his fingernails never quite disappeared. It hadn't mattered before. Before Trisha. She waited outside, leaning against the fence with that smile that made the world softer. Her cleaning uniform was as worn as his work pants, but she wore it like Sunday silk. They walked through the South End, where laundry hung between buildings and children played with deflated footballs. 3 months ago, he'd asked her to marry him with a ring made from a polished washer. She'd cried and said yes. Every night since, he'd been saving. $20 here. 15 there. Skipping lunches. Taking double shifts. Because Trisha deserved more than a washer on her finger. That night, he counted the money again. $843. 4 months of work. Tomorrow was Saturday. His one day off. And he was going to find out if it was enough. Across the city, Celestine Armand locked the door to Luminère and exhaled. The store was silent now. Just her, the mirrors, and the ghosts. She walked to the back office, slipping off her heels. 42 years old. Successful. Alone. The photo on her desk stared back, a younger version of herself with a man who had kind eyes. Thomas. 5 years gone. Cancer had taken him slowly, until there was nothing left but this store they'd built together. Luminère had been their dream. A place where beauty met craftsmanship. But after he died, it became a fortress. A place where she could hide behind transactions and never feel anything real again. Her phone buzzed. Her sister. Still working? You can't hide forever. She turned it face down. Tomorrow was Saturday. The busiest day. She'd arrive early, put on her armor of silk and pearls, and smile until her face hurt. But somewhere deep inside, Celestine wondered if she'd ever feel warm again. Saturday morning arrived with crisp sunlight that made the pearl-white district glow like a postcard. Diego stood across the street from Luminère, staring at his reflection in a shop window. He'd borrowed a button-down shirt from his neighbor, but it was too tight across the shoulders. His boots were the only pair he owned, scuffed and heavy with factory dust no amount of scrubbing could erase. The envelope in his pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. He crossed the street. His hand trembled as he pushed open the glass door. The cold hit him first. Air conditioning set to Arctic. Then the light, crystal chandeliers throwing rainbows across white marble floors. Display cases gleamed like altars, each one holding rings and necklaces that cost more than he made in a year. A woman in a black dress looked up from behind the counter. Her smile died the moment she saw him. "Can I help you?" Her voice was ice-wrapped in silk. "I'd like to see engagement rings, please." Diego's voice came out smaller than he wanted. Another saleswoman emerged from the back, younger, wearing too much perfume. She looked him up and down, her lip curling slightly. "Engagement rings." "Yes, ma'am." The two women exchanged glances. The younger one laughed, covering her mouth like she was trying to hide it but wanting him to hear. "Sir, our rings start at $2,000, the older woman said, her tone suggesting he'd wandered into the wrong universe. A customer browsing near the window turned to look. A man in an expensive suit smirked. Diego felt heat crawl up his neck. "I have money." He pulled out the envelope, his hands shaking now. The younger saleswoman actually laughed out loud this time. "Sweetie, this isn't a pawn shop. Maybe try them all. I just want to see what you have." His voice cracked. "Please." "Look, we're very busy," the older woman said, though the store was nearly empty. "Perhaps somewhere more in your price range would be better. There's a discount jeweler on 5th Street. The man in the suit chuckled. "Should have stayed at the factory, buddy." Something inside Diego fractured. He thought of Tricia. Her face when he'd given her that washer ring. The way she'd held it like it was made of diamonds. The way she saw him, not as broken or less than, but as enough. "Her name is Tricia." His voice was louder now, steadier. "She works 2 cleaning jobs. She's the kindest person I've ever known. And she deserves something beautiful. I've been saving for 4 months. Every dollar in this envelope is honest work. So please, just let me see what I can afford." The silence that followed was suffocating. The younger saleswoman rolled her eyes. The older one sighed like he was wasting her time. The customer whispered something to his companion, and they both laughed. Diego felt tears threaten. Not from sadness. From rage. From shame. From the crushing weight of being invisible. Then a door opened in the back. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. A woman emerged, older than the sales staff, wearing a cream-colored dress that whispered elegance without screaming wealth. Her hair was silver at the temples. Her eyes were the color of storm clouds. She looked at Diego. Really looked. Not at his boots or his too-tight shirt or his stained hands. She looked at his eyes. And something in her face changed. "What's going on here?" Celestine's voice cut through the room like a blade. The older saleswoman straightened. "Mrs. Armand, we were just explaining to this gentleman that our collection might be outside his." "I asked him. Not you." Celestine walked closer, her gaze never leaving Diego's face. "What's her name?" Diego blinked, thrown by the question. "Tricia." "Tell me about her." The room held its breath. Diego's throat tightened. Every eye in the store was on him, but suddenly all he could see was Celestine's face, open, waiting, like she actually cared. "She laughs at my terrible jokes," he said quietly. "Even when they're not funny. She works until her hands crack, but she never complains. She saves half her dinner for me even when I know she's hungry. She makes me believe I'm worth something." His voice broke. "She deserves the world. I can only give her this." He held up the envelope, and this time his hand didn't shake. Celestine's eyes glistened. She took a breath, and Diego saw something shift in her, a wall coming down, brick by brick. "Come with me." She gestured toward a private viewing room in the back. The saleswomen stared in disbelief. The customer whispered something sharp. Celestine ignored them all. Inside the quiet room, she sat across from Diego at a velvet-covered table. She opened a drawer and carefully laid out a selection of rings. Simple, elegant, beautiful. "These are from our artisan collection," she said softly. "Each one is handmade. They tell stories." Diego stared at them, afraid to touch anything. "May I?" Celestine reached for the envelope. He handed it over, feeling naked. She counted the bills slowly, respectfully, like each one mattered. $843, she said. "I know it's not enough for most of these. Tell me more about Tricia. How did you meet?" Diego blinked at the question. "The bus. 2 years ago. She dropped her groceries. I helped her pick them up. She smiled at me, and I forgot my own name." Celestine smiled for the first time, and it transformed her entire face. "My husband and I met at a farmer's market. I dropped a basket of peaches. He caught 3 of them and juggled them to make me laugh. Worst juggling I'd ever seen. He sounds like a good man." He was. Her voice caught. "He died 5 years ago. built this store together. After he was gone, I forgot why any of it mattered. The room fell quiet. Not uncomfortable. Sacred. You remind me of him, Celestine said, her eyes distant. Not in looks. In the way you talk about her. Like she's your reason for breathing. Thomas used to look at me like that. I'd forgotten what it felt like to witness that kind of love. She picked up a ring, white gold with a small, perfectly cut diamond that caught the light like a captured star. This one. It's $800. The artist who made it lost his wife young. He poured his grief into beauty. I think Tricia would feel that when she wears it. Diego stared at the ring, his vision blurring. It's perfect. The remaining $43. Use it for flowers. Yellow roses if she likes brightness. White if she likes elegance. Mrs. Armand, I don't know what to say. Say you'll love her the way my Thomas loved me. Say you'll never let the world make you small. Say you'll fight for her every single day. I will. I swear I will. Celestine boxed the ring in silk and ivory paper, her hand steady and sure. When she handed it to Diego, she held his hand for just a moment. The women out there, they see price tags. I see hearts. Don't ever apologize for loving loudly. Diego walked out of that room with his head high. The saleswomen said nothing. The customer looked away. And Celestine stood in the doorway, watching him leave, feeling something she hadn't felt in 5 years. Warmth. That evening, Diego knelt in their tiny apartment. Tricia cried when she saw the ring. She didn't ask how much it cost. She only asked if he was sure. I've never been more sure of anything, he whispered. And across the city, Celestine sat in her office, staring at Thomas's photo, and for the first time since he died, she smiled without it hurting. Sometimes the world tries to tell us who belongs and who doesn't. But love doesn't need permission. It just needs courage. And on that Saturday, two strangers reminded each other what it looks like to be fully, desperately, beautifully human.